Yes, Chief Guest, Professor Balram Pani. Guest of Honor, Professor Ashok Kumar Prasad and Dr. S.K. Vashne. Chairman, Governing Body, Deshbandhu College, Shri R.N. Vats. Principal, Professor Rajiv Agarwal. Vice Principal, Professor Kamal Kumar Gupta. Teacher in Charge, Department of Chemistry, Professor Devnandan Kumar. IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Aditya Saxena. DBT Star College Scheme Coordinator, Dr. I.K. Singh. All respected faculty members and research scholars from India and abroad, and also our student participants. I'm happy to share with you all that our principal, Sir Professor Rajiv Agarwal, has always supported us in all our endeavors. Though he could not join today due to prior official engagements, he has sent his wishes for successful completion of this e-conference. We are honored to have with us Professor Kamal Gupta, Vice Principal of our college. Professor Kamal Gupta is very active and diligent member of Zoology Department, ever smiling, very gentle, and an active researcher. I now invite Professor Kamal Gupta to formally welcome our guests, speakers, and participants. Sir, please.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes,
Did
sir.
you hear? Yeah, okay. So good morning. It's my proud privilege to welcome our chief guest, Professor Balram Pani, Dean of Colleges, guest of honor,
Sir, you are not audible.
मैम सर म्यूटेड है.
हाँ, Professor Kamal Gupta, you are muted, I think, or there is some glitch. I think, Dr. Devnandan, shall we proceed further?
एक बार कांटेक्ट कर लो कमल गुप्ता सर से फोन पर.
उमेश, आप बात करें. I think let us proceed further, and whenever that glitch is over, he can then give us his wishes. Sushil. Dr. Umesh, shall I proceed further?
Yes, ma'am, I think we can proceed.
Okay. Sorry for the technical glitch again. It is my privilege now to welcome Shri R.N. Vats, Chief Patron and Chairman Governing Body, Deshbandhu College. Shri Vats is a senior advocate in Supreme Court of India. I request you, sir, to please bless us all with your words of wisdom. Shri R.N. Vats.
Vasi, I guess you are.
सर आप म्यूटेड है. जी सर.
हाँ जी sir.
And I first of all congratulate Professor Balram Pani, our dynamic Dean of Colleges, to be the chief guest in our seminar.
Thank you, sir.
I
Thank
also
you.
welcome Professor Ashok Kumar Singh, Head of Department Chemistry, University of Delhi, and Professor S.K. Vashne, to be a part of this seminar. My chemistry department is very active, and they are organizing such kind of seminars for the welfare of the students off and on. I must congratulate the convener, Dr. Umesh Kumar, my principal, Dr. Rajiv Agarwal, vice principal, our Kamal Gupta ji, and all the organizers. I wish a grand success to this seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. There is a saying that chemistry is everywhere. Chemistry begins from stars. From stars or elements come. From all elements come molecules. From various molecules comes life. From life comes death, again through the action of molecules, and the cycle continues. As we move forward, I now request Dr. Umesh Kumar, convener of this conference, to give an overview of this two-day international e-conference. Dr. Umesh Kumar is himself an active researcher and is recipient of Fast Track Young Scientist and Teachers Association for Research Excellence Award from SERB DST New Delhi. He has established his own lab and is now supervising at present 2 PhD students also. Dr. Umesh Kumar, please introduce the conference to us all.
Thank you, Dr. Nanda. A very warm good morning to all.
Echo
On behalf of organizing committee, it gives me a great pleasure to extend a warm and welcome to one and all present in the inaugural session of 2 days International E-Conference on recent advancements in chemical sciences, health, environment, and society, ISRAC 2022. I take this opportunity to offer my gratitude to the respected chief guest, Professor Balram Pani, Dean of Colleges, University of Delhi, guest of honor, Professor Ashok K. Prasad, Head Department of Chemistry and Dean, Faculty of Science, University of Delhi, Dr. Sanjeev K. Varsne, Advisor and Head, International Cooperative Division, Ministry of Science and Technology, DST, Government of India, and keynote speaker of inaugural session, Professor Mayasankar Singh, Head, Department of Chemistry, BHU Varanasi. I thank all the respected dignitaries who have taken out time from their busy schedule and for gracing the occasion. My sincere thanks goes to our honorable chairpersons, honorable chairman, Shri R.N. Vatsar, Principal Professor Rajiv Agrawal, Vice Principal Professor Kamal Kumar Gupta, IQAC Coordinator Dr. Arif Saxena, Coordinator DBT Star College Scheme Dr. Hind Singh, and teacher in charge of Chemistry Department Professor Devanand Kumar for their guidance, wholehearted support, and collaborative efforts in organizing this 2 days international conference. I am also grateful to advisory board members for their constant guidance in planning and successful execution of this conference. Theme of this conference are nanoscience, green chemistry, energy and environment, chemical science and society, drug discovery and human health, and homogeneous and heterogeneous catalysis. I am happy to share the overall response from conference, and we have received nearly 270 text abstracts from paper presentation from almost all states of India and many other countries like Canada, Belgium, Sweden, Saudi Arabia, and Nepal. I hope the conference will provide excellent platform to discuss basic and advanced aspects of theme of the conference in bringing interdisciplinary approach between experts and young researchers from various fields to exchange their knowledge for new discoveries. This conference will include noteworthy lectures that have been invited by eminent speakers from India and abroad. Also, it will include paper presentations on various topics based on health, environment, and society related to chemical sciences. We hope that this conference will not only cover the recent progress in the field of chemistry, but will also offer great ideas on how can we shape the future aspects of chemical sciences for the benefit of society as a whole. With this, I thank one and all who have joined this conference. Thank you all. Over to Dr. Nantala.
Thank you, Dr. Umesh, for giving that overview of the conference. Our today's chief guest is Professor Balram Pani, presently Dean of Colleges, University of Delhi. We are honored to have with us Professor Pani, who himself has more than 25 years of teaching experience and has many research papers and books to his credit. Always inspiring all of us to do more research, I welcome you, sir, and request you to please share your thoughts about research in colleges and this e-conference. Over to you, Dr. Pani, sir. Dr. Pani was there.
यार होस्ट हमको लॉक करके रखा था.
Oh, sir, sorry, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, and good morning to you all. And Professor Rajiv Agrawal ji, Professor Kamal Gupta ji, Sri R.N. Bose ji, the chairperson of the college, Dr. S.K. Varsne ji, Dr. Umesh Kumar, the convener of this conference, Professor Ashok Kumar Prasad ji, the head of the department chemistry, Delhi University, and this is all about your college. Means particularly Deshbandhu College is means more frequently they are doing some conferences. It is good for the college and it is good for the university also. And since it is the chemical science and the chemistry department, they are organizing some such type of the role of the chemistry in the health, environment, and the society. And the chemistry it is a lifeline. And whereas anywhere we will search, you will find it the chemistry. And the health sector nowadays, the health sector, how chemistry is playing the role, and even if the bond in this particular in the health sector, if a particular molecule is not working there, then you can just shift the position and then it will work. This is the beauty of the chemistry. And the environment, if there is any pollution, if there is a solution, it is in chemistry. And society, in the society, chemistry, it is everywhere. So therefore, means such type of conferences should be done more frequently, and you are doing so. So therefore, means you have invited so many eminent personalities. So I think the most of the researchers, teachers, as well as the students, they will be benefited out of it. And I wish you all the best. And definitely this conference will be a great success. And again, I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With great pride and honor, I now welcome Professor Ashok Kumar Prasad, Dean, Faculty of Science and Head of the Department of Chemistry, our parent department from University of Delhi. I request you, sir, to please bless us all with your scientific vision. Dr. Ashok Prasad. Is he there, Dr. Umesh?
मैम सर विजिबल नहीं है इसमें, दिख नहीं रहे हैं.
डॉक्टर उमेश, आप उन्हें कांटेक्ट कर लीजिए. मीनवाइल we'll proceed further. I'm privileged to call upon our guest of honor now, Dr. S.K. Varsne, presently working as advisor and head International Cooperation, Department of Science and Technology, and is responsible for facilitating bilateral, multilateral, and regional scientific cooperation of India with partner countries. I invite you, sir, to share your scientific know-how and vision about the academia-industry interface and bless us all. Dr. S.K. Vaishnav, please.
Thank you, Dr. Namita ji. Professor Balram Pani, Dean of Colleges, University of Delhi. Shri R.N. Vats ji, Chairman, Governing Body, Deshbandhu College. My friend, Professor Rajiv Agarwal, Principal, Deshbandhu College. And I hope my another good friend, Ashok, would be joining in soon. All members of the organizing committees, member of the faculty, young friends. First of all, I thank Deshbandhu College for inviting me to join you on this platform and share my views in this seminar. Science must have a human face. All our knowledge should be applied for the welfare of human beings and in attaining sustainable development goals. In achieving this, we need to have an interdisciplinary approaches, as neither chemistry alone nor any other science for that matter could achieve desired result at their own. We need to integrate and make best uses of emerging technologies in overcoming challenges being faced by the modern societies. Advances in chemistry over the past century are widely praised for the technological and development achievements of human civilization, but are also associated with environmental degradations, loss of biodiversity, threat to human health, and of course, ongoing climate crisis. Yet, in the modern technological society, chemistry, as Dr. Pani also said, is ubiquitous. And innovation in chemistry and materials are responsible for the majority of new products in most areas of human endeavor. The innovation potential of chemistry is at the core of current efforts to solve complex challenges, including development of energy storage materials to support a wider adoption of renewable energy, production of hydrogen as a clean energy vector, the direct utilization of carbon dioxide to introduce technogenic circulation of carbon, and development of infinitely recyclable synthetic polymers. Nevertheless, transition of chemistry toward a sustainable development model requires a paradigm shift in chemical research and development, how businesses protect IP and profit from chemicals, and chemical materials and product designs and manufacturing being safe and sustainable by design. A systematic change to how chemical industry is structured is urgently needed. That would encompass entire life cycle of molecules towards full circularity. This includes what feedstock are being used, what molecules are incorporated into materials, the products to achieve the desired functional performance, how manufacturing of new molecule is developed, and how molecules are treated for remanufacturing, reusing, or end of its life. Chemistry has long been described as a complex system. When all aspects are considered together, its highly complex supply chains, business models, wide range of stakeholders, interaction of molecules with products, humans, and the environment, chemistry becomes an example of a complex, dynamic, interacting system, a class of problems that are not amenable to classical reductionist solutions. Finding chemical solutions with positive impacts towards sustainability depends on making chemical data more transparent and available for decision support tools that are suitable for addressing complex problems including emerging tools from the field of artificial intelligence and digitalization. There is an ongoing development in the discourse on potential positive and negative implication of digitalization approaches. The transition towards a sustainable future requires a radical transformation of how chemistry is designed, developed, and used. This represents a break it or make it challenge for chemical industries with significant technology lock-in and high entry barriers to radical innovators. There is a need for systematic change in chemical industry, research and development, chemical assessment and management, and education to advance sustainable chemistry and more rapid adoption of digitalization and new digital tools. This will enable flexible data exchange, increased transparency of information flow, and cross-country chemical, material, and products life cycles and chemistries that are safe and sustainable by design, addressing the complexity of chemical environment health interaction and lowering the cost of entry into chemical R&D and manufacture and new, more and more sustainable and collaborative business goals. Achieving various goals of global sustainable development agenda poses complex challenges for chemical and society as a whole. Systematic innovation in chemical research and development, assessment, management, and education is required to facilitate transition toward a sustainable future. Such an innovation can benefit to a large extent from the increased uptake and systematic adoption of digitalization and digital tools to optimize management of entire chemical life cycle. Digitalization in chemistry will enable development of more flexible models. And with that, we feel that digitalization would be key to radical transformation to more sustainable and collaborative business model in this industry. The major environmental problem has increased dramatically because of high quality of life environment of consumers. There are numerous environmental hazards such as toxic waste dumping, distributing of pesticides, use of non-biodegradable materials, use of fertilizers, harmful greenhouse effects, disposal of sludge, and waste of other dangerous and hazardous chemical that faces serious environmental consequences. A broad and increasing variety of human-made substances that are regularly found in water, but have only been lately discovered as water contaminants are known as, there are number of synthetic substances that are essential for contemporary society around the world, namely cosmetics, insecticides, personal care products, medicine, and steroids, hormones. The worldwide output of these pollutants is predicted to have increased from 1 million to 500 million tons each year. However, these natural or manufactured compounds are associated with an identified harmful health and environmental impact. For example, pharmaceutical chemists designed specifically to elicit a biological response in a specific organism may also elicit the same response in non-specific creatures following persistent exposure, even to minute amounts. Health is also a very critical, important social and economic assets, a cornerstone for human development. And we have just gone through a very, very unusual time. Nearly after 100 years, this planet saw another pandemic. While during this pandemic, the air quality improved, pollution level dropped by around 40 to 50%. Nature was rejuvenating, but all of us, the human being, were living in fear of a microbe. This small creature has changed the entire dynamics of our life. The entire world started to be protective until we did not receive a good news from our pharma industries in the form of a development of a new compound and vaccine against COVID. COVID-19 and onslaught of climate change have exposed fragility of our lives and ecosystem. Natural disasters like asteroid impact, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, flood, cyclone, and pandemic like plagues, smallpox, cholera, tuberculosis, malaria have been man's nemesis from the beginning of time. The list of public risks have now expanded to include pollutions, industrial disasters, and of course, so many new, confusing, and disruptive technologies. If we just see what are the new technologies which could impact on our chemical or pharma market, then just take some test cases. For example, in future, treatment would no longer be focused on chemical and biological solutions alone, but instead focus on digital therapeutics, nutraceuticals, implants, gene editing, and programmable bacteria accelerated by clinical research would increase. Retail pharmacy would become consolidated health destination with product distribution altered by 3D printing, kiosks, telehealth, and same-day deliveries of medicine by driverless cars, autonomous boats, or drones. Automation and AI would also enhance pharmacists' responsibility, allowing them to become recognized as a provider and ultimately prescribing acute medication and managing chronic diseases. Massive data sets connected by Internet of Things connected devices, cloud-based algorithm, and quantum computing could enable real-time diagnosis and insight that are integrated to our daily lives and shared across care providers. While many of these changes seem inevitable, the key question remains how quickly they will happen. What is the time horizon, which depends upon regulatory policymakers, consumer adoption of technology, and where and how competitors would be investing, and what would be the economic viability of these innovations which are brought to market. How would government handle these disruptions? How have they convinced people to take precautions against emergency like COVID? What measures does one take in managing them and for rescue, relief, and rehabilitation of masses? And most importantly, how does one prepare the masses to face the risk without panicking? It is argued that ceremonies, dictates, and discourse may not work in democratic society. Rather, one needs a new breed of risk communicators who can enter into dialogue with the people to prepare them for these challenges and welcome truly beneficial new and disruptive technologies. Department of Science and Technology, from where I come, has been promoting scientific temper and logical thinking, besides supporting, of course, research and development. Science communication has been a major contribution in taking messages to the masses. Like in COVID time, our society has learned importance of food and immunity, oxygen saturation level, comorbidity, so many scientific terms they have learned. It is our job as scientists to make our society aware as well as prepare to new scientific disruption. We are focusing now on cleaner solutions, clean energy, energy efficient buildings, net zero emissions, electric mobility, intelligent transport, advanced and functional materials are some of those aspects. I hope this today interaction would allow issues to be discussed. What chemist has been facing, the canvas is quite large. You are discussing issues pertaining to environment, issues pertaining to health. So I hope that you come up with recommendations for better solutions. how chemists could make this society more healthier, environmentally much safer than adopting the recent emerging technology and their application in chemistry. My good wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As they say, life is a chemical reaction. It only requires balancing, but balance between academia, industry, and chemical sciences is the need of the hour, you can say. Talking about the scientific temper and temperament and sustainable development. Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. Dr. Kamal Gupta, Vice Principal of our college. Sir, I would now request you to please address the gathering. Professor Kamal Gupta.
Yes. Good morning. Is that I'm audible right now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's great. I know that technology has this issue, though we can connect globally here on this platform, but many occasions we are not able to share our sentiments. So in fact, I really feel proud to be part of this two-day international conference organized by the Department of Zoology. And on this occasion, I welcome our chief guest, Professor Balram Pani, Dean of Colleges, guest of honor, Professor A.K. Prasad, head of the department and also Dean Faculty of Sciences. Then Dr. S.K. Varshney, advisor and head, International Cooperation, Department of Science and Technology. Then Professor Shri Prakash, Director, South Campus. And it is really an honor for me to welcome our Honorable Governing Body Chairman, Shri R.N. Vats, who is a constant support to hold many events in the college.
Sir, again, you are not audible, I think. Dr. Sushila, can we hear him?
Yes, Dr. Namita, you can proceed further.
But then sir is not audible, I think, है ना?
Yeah, some glitch is there.
Glitch, yeah.
Yeah.
Let us now, I think, proceed. What do you say?
Sure.
Okay. Now I welcome Professor Ashok Kumar Prasad, Dean Faculty of Science and Head of the Department of Chemistry from University of Delhi. I request you, sir, to please bless us all with your scientific vision for us all. Professor Ashok Prasad.
Thank you very much. Professor Namita. Professor Balram Pani, Chief Guest of the conference and Dean Colleges. Can you hear me? And Dean of Colleges, University of Delhi. Professor Sri Prakash ji, Director, South Campus. My good friend, Dr. S.K. Varshney, Advisor and Head, International Cooperation Division, DST, Government of India. It was very nice to hear him a moment ago. Sri R.N. Vats ji, the Chairperson, Governing Body of this college. Professor Rajiv Agarwal, Principal, Professor Kamal Gupta, Vice Principal. I hope he is able to hear us now. Dr. Umesh Kumar, Convener of the conference. Professor Devanandan Kumar, Professor Susila Singla, and all other organizers of this e-conference. All invited speakers, faculty members of the college, and dear participants. I'm glad to be part of this e-conference entitled Relevant Recent Advances in Chemical Sciences. Health, Environment and Society, being organized by Deshbandhu College. If you see this title, it says that it is utmost important that the science we are doing should be directed to solve our today's problems related to environment and health, and of course, other societal problems. But environment and health is a challenge at the moment. Every year we face environmental problems. I mean, throughout the year we are facing, but we know that for a couple of months in November, December, January, what happens to Delhi. This is a local problem of Delhi and some of the cities in India. Similarly, in the health, we are facing a great problem. Not only we in India, the whole world is, is facing the problem of this COVID pandemic, which is prevalent almost in different parts of the country and the world, even today. I thank Deshbandhu College for organizing this e-conference on this timely topic. You can understand that if the science would have not contributed, we would have been in a much bad situation than what we are today as far as this COVID pandemic is concerned. We all know that these vaccine developments, which used to take, more than decades, 12 years, 15 years, when the requirement came due to this COVID-19, our science and scientists came out with the solution of the vaccine within a year time. And that we know that how useful it is. It saved the humanity across the country, in the world. It is because of these vaccines that we realized that in the third wave, which came to our country early this year, was not so severe. So this contribution of science and continuous contribution of science and technology in environment and health, particularly at the moment, which is requirement of the time, is very important. And therefore, this conference, organization of this conference is so important. I thank Deshbandhu College for organizing this e-conference on this timely topic and wish all the best for successful and rich deliberations, which has been planned for today and tomorrow. I could see the speakers, they are experts in their areas. And I'm sure that all participants will have a take-home message from these talks and will get time to know the frontline workers in different science areas and will be able to get connected with them through this conference. With this short address, I thank again the college and I wish all the best for successful deliberations for the 2 days. Thanks again, and I will pass it over again to the organizers. The organizers, please.
Thank you, sir. As you said, science and scientists contribute a lot for our society. We as teachers should encourage our coming generation and students to join the scientific research for various advancements, contributions in environment, health, and society. Thank you, sir. Before we proceed further, I would request Dr. Leena to show a short video showing our department in Deshbandhu College. Dr. Leena, please.
मैम आप म्यूट
Namta
हैं।
ma'am, unmute please. Namta ma'am, unmute please.
Yeah, I was saying that in this virtual e-conference, we have given you a virtual tour of our college and of course of our department. Before we move towards the concluding remarks, I'm happy to share with you that the abstract booklet for this e-conference is ready. And Dr. Leena will now share the abstract book to all our participants. I request our distinguished guests to please switch on their videos so that a group photograph can be taken during this release of the abstract booklet. Dr. Ashwani, you please click this moment. This is the cover page of the abstract booklet, which includes the abstracts of all the oral presentations and the poster presentations, which we have received. And they will be then done in different presentation sessions, I think, today evening itself. Thank you so much. Congratulations to all the team members who have put in their hard work to prepare this abstract booklet. Thank you. Teacher in charge of our Department of Chemistry in the college is Professor Devnandan Kumar. He himself is a keen researcher and has many research papers to his credit and has research collaborations with many research groups in India, Germany, Brazil, and Egypt. He's always encouraging all department faculty members to take part in a lot of activities. I now welcome and invite Professor Devnandan Kumar for his concluding remarks. Professor Devnandan, please.
Thank you, Namta. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
On behalf of the Department of Chemistry, Deshbandhu College, first of all, I welcome all teachers, students, researchers, and participants to the 2-day international conference on recent advancement in chemical sciences, health, environment, and society. The theme of the conference is highly important in the current scenario. It will witness internationally renowned speakers who will share and discuss significant new developments and scientific advancement. I am highly thankful to the today's chief guest, Professor Balram Pani, Dean of Colleges, University of Delhi, guest of honor, Professor Ashok Prasad, Dean, Faculty of Science and Head, Department of Chemistry, Delhi University, Dr. S.K. Varsane, Advisor and Head, International Cooperation, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, for taking out time and blessing us on this occasion. I am also highly thankful to all distinguished speakers who will motivate the participants with their words of wisdom in these 2 days. I highly acknowledge our chief patron, Chairman Governing Body, Sri R.N. Bas, and our principal, Professor Rajiv Agrawal, Vice Principal, Professor Kamal Gupta, Coordinator, IQSC, Dr. Aditya Saxena, for providing all necessary and timely support for organizing this conference. Congratulations to Professor Susila and Dr. Umesh Kumar, convener of the events, for taking initiative and organizing the conference. I sincerely hope that this conference will become a step in the mission to create a valuable platform that enables knowledge sharing. This event will provide the best exposure to students, researchers, teaching faculty, and foster an environment conducive to deepen their understanding about the topic. Best wishes to all the participants and organizers organizing committee members, young colleagues at chemistry department, Deshbandhu College, and other colleagues involved in this conference, with the belief that the deliberations of this conference will be an enlightening and enriching experience for all the participants. Now I request a technical team to share token of appreciation in the form of memento to our today's chief guest, Professor Balram Pani. Technical team. Now, Pani sir, this is for you, token of appreciation from our department and our college side. Now, share a token of appreciation in the form of memento for today's guest of honor, Professor Ashok Prasad, Head and Dean Faculty of Science. Professor Prasad sir, this is for you from our side, from our department side, our college side. Please share token of appreciation for Dr. S.K. Varsane, Head and Advisor, Department of International Cooperation, DST, Government of India. Professor Varsane sir, this is from our college side, especially from Dr. Umesh's side and all of us side for you.
Thank you.
Now share a token of appreciation for Chairman sir, Chief Patron of this conference and Chairman Governing Body, Sri R.N. Bas sir. Bas sir, this is for you from our college side, for our department side, and from convener sides, and from all of us side, sir. I think sir is not now in this conference. He has a urgent meeting in the court, but he has messaged me my best wishes for success of the program. Now share token of appreciation for timely and appropriate guidance from our Vice Principal side, Professor Kamal Gupta. Kamal Gupta sir, this is from convener conference, Professor Susila and Dr. Umesh and our department side. This is especially for you, sir. Thank you. Over to technical team. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Devnandan. Now we'll be having the keynote session at 11 sharp. Before that, Dr. Leena will share one more video of our department.
लीना, मैं शंकर सर को एचपी नाम से है। डॉक्टर लीना।
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
जी उमेश कहे। Has Dr. Maya, Professor Maya Shankar joined?
Yes, sir. He has joined already. So Lina, make the co-host
Okay.
to him.
Okay.
By name of HP. By name HP.
Lina, make HP as co-host.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. So can we proceed for the keynote session now?
Yes. Yes. Just one second, ma'am. 1 second. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Lina, you have done?
Yes, sir.
Yes, she has done.
Okay. Yes, sir. Now she has done the make host. Co-host.
Yeah. Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Okay, sir. We'll
Thank you,
be
sir.
now
Thank you.
proceeding
Thank you, sir.
further. Welcome, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
After the completion of the inaugural session, we now move forward to the keynote lecture session by Professor Maya Shankar Singh. Now, at this point, I welcome Professor Lieutenant Sushila Singhal, convener of this conference. She is also involved in active research and has many research papers and books to her credit. I want to share here that Professor Lieutenant Sushila Singhal is ANO NCC Girls Wing in the college at present. I now invite her to formally introduce our keynote speaker. Professor Sushila, please.
Thank you, Dr. Namita. It's my pleasure to welcome today's international conference keynote speaker, Professor Maya Shankar Singh. I would like to introduce you, sir, with a brief note. Professor Maya Shankar Singh received his MSc degree in organic chemistry from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, India in 1981, where he also earned his PhD degree in 1986, working under the tutelage of Professor K.N. Malhotra. After postdoctoral work, he joined Vikram University, Ujjain in 1990 as assistant professor in organic chemistry, and then moved to Gorakhpur University as associate professor in 1998. He then again joined BHU in 2004, where he is currently professor in organic chemistry since 2006. During his sabbatical, he has visited University of Arizona, Tucson and Macon State University, East Lansing, Macon, USA, Nagoya Institute of Technology, Nagoya, Japan, Loughborough University and University of Leicester, UK, RMIT University, Melbourne, Australia, University of Hohenheim, Stuttgart and RWTH, Aachen University, Aachen, Germany. His research interests are centered on synthetic organic chemistry with special emphasis towards the development of efficient, eco-compatible one-port synthetic methods engaging beta-keto dithioesters and their derivatives as an antecedent in chemical synthesis. Center of attention of his research group is design and development of sustainable diversity-oriented synthesis, that is SDOS methods for foremost biologically molecules and drugs intermediates via domino, tandem, cascade reactions. He has successfully guided 23 PhD students, which have resulted over 180 publications and 8 reviews in peer-reviewed journals. Additionally, Professor Singh has authored 5 textbooks in organic chemistry from Pearson Education and Wiley, VCH, Wenham, Germany. He received some awards and recognitions, which includes T.R. Shashadri Memorial Lecture Award, J.C. Bose National Fellowship, CNR Rao Chair Professor, Fellow of all these academies, that is FNA, FAC, TR Bronze Medal, UG BSR Mid Career Award, and one-time grant. Vice Chancellors from Banaras Hindu University Award for Excellence in Research and Most Productive Researchers Award from Institute of Sciences, Banaras Hindu University. We are highly obliged to have you, sir, with us. Now, I would like to invite you, sir, for your keynote address. Over to you, sir.
Okay, am I audible and visible clearly, Dr. Umesh?
Yes.
Dr.
Yes, sir, you are
Sushila,
audible.
am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible and visible also.
Okay, okay. So, thank you, madam. Thanks a lot for your introduction in very detail. Thank you very much. At the outset, I would like to thank all the organizing committee for this invitation, and in particular to Dr. Umesh Kumar, who has given this opportunity to share whatever my group is doing at Banaras Hindu University. And it would be my pleasure, whatever we are working, to share with the audience. So, without losing any time, I would like to move on the is my slide is visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay, then that's fine. So the topic of my discussion over a period of 40-45 minutes would be the wonderful chemistry of alpha-enolic dithioesters. That is a highly sustainable approach towards carbon-carbon and carbon heteroatom bond formation. So, as we know, if we talk chemistry, and in particular in organic chemistry, there are only three kinds of bonds, mainly three kinds of bonds. The most important is the carbon-carbon bond, then carbon-hydrogen bond, second, and third is the carbon heteroatom. Here I mean heteroatom means rest of the element of the periodic table. It could be metal, non-metal, inert gases, any that comes under the purview of the carbon heteroatom bonds. So there are only three kinds of bonds. And if we see in the whole realm of organic chemistry, there are only three major categories of the reactions. The first category is the polar reaction. Second category is the free radical reaction, and third one is the pericyclic reaction. No fourth category of the reaction in the organic chemistry. So these are the three major categories. And all the three categories, for the sake of the convenience, have been further subclassified into addition, elimination, means it could be nucleophilic, electrophilic, means a kind of. But mainly there are only three kinds of reaction and three kinds of bonds. So here I would like to discuss utilizing our very useful and simple molecule dithioester for the formation of carbon-carbon and carbon heteroatom bond. So before moving to the topic, I would like to acknowledge my students who are really the hero, who must deserve whatever the publications our group is having due to all these students only. So these are the former students who have earned their PhD under my group, and below are the current students. So as I told, the molecule is dithioesters. And if we talk about the organic molecules again, two types of molecules. If we talk in terms of reactivity, in terms of functional groups, first category is the molecule having only one functionality, that is the monofunctional molecule. And second category is molecule having more than one functionality, that is known as polyfunctional molecules. Means, and the major important functionality in organic chemistry are ketones, esters, ethers, amines, nitro, and their further derivatives. So, if molecule is multifunctional, so such kinds of molecule exhibit unique property. That is the unexpected property, and that's why such kinds of molecule most of the time exhibit serendipitous nature, serendipitous character. So if there are more than one functional group in a molecule, and all the functional groups are situated far apart from each other, means they are far apart from each other, then no problem. Each functional group is going to display its physical and chemical property independently if they are situated far apart to each other. But if the functional groups are situated very close to each other, apart from their its own traditional property, they show some unexpected, unusual property resulting from the identity and interconnectedness, that is they interact with one another of the multiple functional groups. So this is the, you see, specialty, beauty. Our molecule, as I told, you see, this is the simple beta oxo dithioester. This is the alpha carbon. This moiety is the dithioester. And you see, what is the difference between ester and dithioester? If you compare the ketoester, it means if here are oxygen, that is the beta ketoester. And even 6 plus 2 means class 8th and 9th students understands nowadays what is the beta ketoester. And the chemistry of beta ketoester has been fully studied, and there are numerous literature reports, all kinds of reactivity. But when you replace both the oxygen with sulfur, that becomes dithioethers, beta keto dithioesters. And you see the uniqueness of this molecule. What a simple molecule. Simply, we have replaced the 2 oxygen of the beta keto ester, that become beta oxo or beta keto dithioester. Now see, this molecule entirely behaves in a different way than beta keto ester. How? You see, this is the uniqueness of molecule, that if we talk about the beta keto ester mostly exists in the keto form or in all form, that's in equilibrium, depending upon the different solvents, the protic, aprotic, polar non-protic. In different solvents, proportions of keto and enol forms are entirely different. But you see, in our molecule, this molecule exists in the enolic form. That's why it is known as, this is the alpha carbon, alpha enolic dithioesters. Either you call it, this is the alpha carbon, this is the beta keto dithioester, or alpha enolic. And this alpha enolic form is stabilized due to the intramolecular hydrogen bonding. And we have done the energy calculation also, DFT calculations. This form is having the minimum energy. And you see, we have established the structure with the help of single crystal also. So it exists either in the solution or in the solid state, mostly in this alpha-enolic dithioform. And what is the peculiar characteristics of this molecule? This is the active methylene group, this CH2 at the alpha carbon. This hydrogen is not localized to this carbon. It's highly delocalized to oxygen, sulfur, as well as, you see, this is delocalized, and that's why your delocalized structure. So one can see, you see, how this molecule behaves. It is the beta oxo having alpha active methylene group. This is the alpha enolic. This is the you see, in on, or you can say in thiol, and this is the delocalized structure. So now you see the reactivity of this molecule. It's really means what a marvelous this simple molecule is this. You see how many functional groups, enols, enones, enthiones, and its derivative. This dithioesters could be converted into SS acetals, alpha adjocetine SS acetals, NS acetal, even OO acetals, or you replace this thioether linkage with the amino, then that becomes beta oxothioamides. You see, means how many sister analogs this molecule could be very easily derivatized. It's a very easy transformation. Whatever I am talking about, the preparation and derivatization of these molecules and their derivatives, it can be carried out anywhere in undergraduate laboratory. No special technique, no special starting materials. All starting materials are easily available and very cheap. So you see about the reactivity of these molecules. What kind of reactions? Because there are, you see, there are these 2 electrophilic center and 3 nucleophilic center, oxygen, sulfur, carbon. 2 electrophilic, thiocarbonyl and carbonyl. So you see, in this small molecule, there are 2 electrophilic, 3 nucleophilic, and all the nucleophiles are different, carbon, oxygen, sulfur. So it's entirely different. What kind of reactivity is there? So you see, a variety of reactions can be carried out. Cycloadhesions reaction, annulations, Morita-Belli-Silman reactions, alpha propagylation, formation of carbon-carbon, carbon-sulfur, carbon-oxygen, carbon-nitrogen, means various kinds of bonds. And these youthful transformation results to the diverse valuable scaffolds. So that's why recently there are several previous reports, but recently we have reported the derivatization of our dithioester and thioamide into SS acetals and NS acetals under highly mild reaction conditions and without using solvent. That is the highly sustainable condition. Again, these 2 SS acetals and NS acetals could be utilized as a very useful precursor for the synthesis of diverse organic molecules. You see, simply treat dithioester or thioamide with alcohol at room temperature without any solvent. That is the solventless and formation of the desired molecule. So what I mean, using this very simple small acyclic molecule, one can see amidst the whole spectrum of the heterocycles. We have tried our best to synthesize the whole spectrum, 5-membered, 6-membered, containing 1 heteroatom, more than 1 heteroatom, fused heterocyclic system. You see, all kind of annulated system, imidazole, benzimidazole, you see, pyrazoles, pyrols, benzofuran, furans, benzoxazole, isoxazole, benzoxazoles. You see the same isothiazoles, thiazoles, even saturated, unsaturated, aromatized, means all kind of pyrans, thiopyrans. You see fused heterocycles, coumarins, thiocoumarins, chromines, fused chromines, pyridines, means just you see a huge number of. And the beauty is that in all the cases, we have utilized this molecule. So our chemistry is highly focused. We are playing around this molecule, see, just under bearing the reaction, different reaction parameters. So utilizing this molecule and highly focused, the most important part, our strategy is that all the reactions have been carried out in one part. These are our some recent publications utilizing this molecules. You see, means what a kind of heterocyclic scaffolds we have utilized, and this molecule is being cited in almost all ACS and RSC and Wiley important journals. This is the beauty of this molecule. So coming to the point, let us share some of our observations which we have carried out. You see, this is the thioamide of the dithioester. When thioamide is treated with diazonium salt, simple, you see, this is the counter ion. It could be chloride, sulfate, or any counter ion. And diazonium salt could be prepared at the UG laboratory. And you see the condition of the reaction in open air at room temperature. In open air, no inert condition, no elevated temperature. Simply a little bit, I can say, this catalyst is little bit expensive, but now it's very widely utilized, easily available, ruthenium second. When exposed to 4 nanometer UV light, you see what a useful scaffolds, thiodiazoles, highly useful molecules as a precursor for the synthesis of drug industry. And you see a huge number of. So what are the characteristics? Photo-oxidative 3+2 cycloaddition. 3 atoms are being incorporated from this one and 2 atoms you see from the diazole. So that is the 3+2. And as I told, our all reactions are one part reactions. And there could be several steps, but we are not going to isolate the different intermediates. So no external oxidant, operationally simple and mild conditions, wide substrate scope and scalable. We have carried out the reaction at the gram level also as a representative, not all the reactions. And easy access to diverse thiodiazoles, you see, otherwise really it's very, very difficult to prepare, to construct this moiety and having external carbon nitrogen double bond. And that is the highly explosive, that is the means the selectivity of this reaction, that is the distereo selectivity, highly distereo explosive formation of the Z isomer. No exclusive formation of the Z isomer. Further, it could be reduced, oxidized, there are other functionalities. So this molecule can be further exploited to other molecules. This is our simple reaction setup, which could be this setup can be obtained, can be prepared anywhere, even at a very small place also. This is the, you see, control experiment, some control just to identify the course of the mechanism of the reaction, how our reaction is proceeding. And in most of the cases, we have isolated the intermediates also. We have trapped, in some cases, we have trapped the intermediate and we have characterized with the help of HRMS or dynamic NMR studies. So in most of the courses, of course, even then, this is the hypothetical tentative mechanism, but well established because route has been established and we have isolated the intermediates. So these are the gram scale and some again control experiments. Just you see at the gram level also means approximate 1 gram compound we have synthesized, and yield is comparable to the small scale experiments. This is the proposed mechanism. How? This is our thioamide. That is the simple thioamide when treated with the diazonium salt. Simple addition. This is the adduct. This is the phenyl hydrazone adduct of the thioamide, which isomerizes to this one. And now you see, this undergoes oxidation, means removal of H plus, formation of this sulfuryl radical. And this undergoes again isomerization, that is the hydrogen shift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, 1, 5 hydrogen intramolecular shift. Again, removal of H plus, assisted by the aerial oxidation, because reaction has been carried out in the open oxygen, produces the desired thiazole scaffold. So these are the scopes of the reaction. You see all kinds of variation. We have all variation, means at this R1 moiety, it could be aromatic. In the aromatic, electron donating, electron withdrawing, neutral substituents. You see all kinds of substituents. Electron donating, that is the 4-methyl, 4-methoxy. And irrespective of their position, ortho, meta, para, anywhere. In the same way, electron withdrawing, chloro, bromo, trifluoromethyl, they are highly electron withdrawing substituents groups. Again, irrespective of their ortho, meta, para position. So not only various aromatic, but heterocyclic scaffolds also. You see, furyl group, thionyl, pyridyl, and extended aromatics also. Naphthyl could be 1 naphthyl, 2 naphthyl, biphenyl, and again substitution aliphatic also, isobutyl. But you see, the yield in the case of isobutyl is a little bit less rather than the cyclopropyl. That is the 65 and 52%. But in organic synthesis, if one is getting yield approaching to 60% or above than 60%, that is the moderate, one can say, good yield. And then we have a variation at the R2 substituent also. Again, all electron donating, electron withdrawing, and aliphatic. So the generality of the reaction, scope of the reaction with respect to the substrate has been found to be very excellent. And finally, we have just established the structures with single crystal structures of some of the representative molecules. This is the one example. And as I told, this molecule contains, you see, one exocyclic carbon-nitrogen double bond and one endocyclic. Again, there is a further possibility of further transformation. Either addition, as you know, the main reaction of the double bond is the addition reaction. So, when this molecule is subjected to traditional conventional oxidation, simple metachloroperbenzoic acid at room temperature in lithium, that's what happened. Ring is being opened. And again, formation of, you see, thioamide. That gives thioamide, simple. And you see, phenyl hydrazone of the thioamide, again, very useful precursor intermediate. And when subjected to reduction, simple sodium borohydride, again at room temperature, in protic solvent methanol, what happens? This you see, external, this double bond. You see, this double bond undergoes reduction. Internal double bond, it's not being reduced. This is the susceptible towards, again, highly selective. That is the regioselective reduction. And after reduction, that is the formation of hydrogen shift to give the reduced species. Again, you see our dithioesters. So, using our synthesize the very useful alkynyl sulfides, acyclic intermediates, and these alkynyl sulfides, you see, are very good precursors for the synthesis of various cyclic as well as acyclic heterocyclic. And again, condition is very much all in one part, open air, And you see the timing of the reaction is also 2 hours. It's not very long duration. So again, we have done some control experiments just to characterize, to see the course of the reaction, how reaction proceeds, and how we are getting our final desired alkynyl. You see, that is the carbonyl conjugated alkynyl sulfide. It's very rare. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to synthesize such kind of. So, you see, the reactivity of this molecule, how reactive is this? Chemistry of the carbonyl group, chemistry of the alkynes. Again, since 2 are in conjugation, it gives entirely different properties. So, based on our control experiments and some other experimental observations, you see, this is the mechanistic course of the reaction. First, as I told, formation of the corresponding hydroxy immunoderivative of the dithioester, that is the alkyne derivative at the alpha position. Then under UV light undergoes in the excited state, and this excited alpha hydroxy immuno compound undergoes proton, you see, PCET, electron transfer, proton coupled electron transfer reaction to give this cyclic intermediate. And this intermediate we have characterized with the help of HRMS during the course of the reaction, in situ characterization, and this finally removal of HSNO. Again, it has been detected by HRMS. It gives the our carbonyl conjugated alkynyl sulfides, highly useful precursor for the synthesis of a wide variety of, and you again see the generality of the reaction. A huge variety of the scope of this reaction has been carried out, and finally the structure has been determined with the help of single crystal accelerated structure. Again, you see these are the substrate scope, all electron donating, electron withdrawing, irrespective of the orthometa or para position of the benzene ring, all undergo giving, you see, 85, 86, 69, 85, means all in the very good yield. And you see, all reactions are being carried out in one part reaction. No separation of the intermediate, no separation of the reactive species in due course of the reaction. Again, then recently we have carried out the electrochemical setup. This is the electrochemist our phenyl hydrazone of the thioamide. You see, no metal, no external oxidant, no base. And we have carried out the late stage derivatization also, and that is the same thiazole species under entirely different condition, and yielding again very good. You see, 90%, 77%, means 88%, all kind of. And if we talk about the generality of the reaction, all aromatic, aliphatic, heterocyclic, means halo substituted, trifluoromethyl substituted. And you see, again, if there are halo substituted derivatives or compounds, this has the further scope of this, the reactivity to this end. It could be very easily coupled with several other reaction partners, leading to the very youthful, highly, entirely different molecules. So this is the simple optimization of the reaction condition, how we have optimized. And again, this is the electrochemical setup. You see, yield of the reaction. And they are the simply, again, just to see the generality, different extended aromatic, as I told, butanaftil or biphenyl at all the positions. Either it could be substituted at the carbon atom or could be at the nitrogen atom. We tried our level best to make here sulfur is the bivalent, to make this tetravalent or higher valent state, but could not succeeded, and our the whole setup of the reaction got messed up and decomposed. So these are the simply the synthesis of alicyclic derivative, and this is the probable mechanism. After getting some kinds of sub-clue regarding the intermediates, this is the final, and this is the standard organic setup of reactions: formation of the sulfur radical, the nitrogen radical, which could be isomerized, and finally that led to the intramolecular cyclization to give the desired molecule. Now let us say this is the coumarin compound. That's very well-known studied molecule. Then we thought, let us try to see the reactivity of our dithioesters with the coumarin derivatives, because coumarin is a very useful scaffold of various natural products and drug molecules. So, starting with the coumarin, we subjected the very known Wills-Mayer-Hack reaction, that is the Wills-Mayer-Hack formulation. Formulation as this carbon next to the carbonyl group. This is the, you see, enone and enol, all are in conjugation. Phenolic OH, double bond, and carbonyl, all the three functional groups are in conjugation. So in situ, we generated the formulated coumarin in the same part. When subjected with our molecule, you see formation of, that is the tricyclic thiaxothyronopyranocoumarin, means you inclusion of all the starting materials, and temperature is also moderate. So yield up to 82%, and generality of the reaction, the final structure has been again determined with the help of single crystal, and these are the highlights about the reaction, that is the one part carbon-carbon and carbon-sulfur bond formation in one part. That could be stepwise. 3+3 annulation means both reactor partners are being annulated, are being coupled, involving 3 atoms, and only byproduct of this whole setup of reaction is the chloroform CH3. You see, this is the beauty of the reaction. These are the again substrate scopes. Generality of the reaction was checked, and this is the plausible mechanism. Very simple, based on the standard organic chemistry. First is the Hack formulation, then Michael type addition with our dithioester. This is the Michael adduct, which undergoes intramolecular highly chemo and regioselective manner to give this intermediate B, and intermediate B again goes elimination of chloride ion, and this eliminated chloride ion again attacked by a SN2 type matter to this intermediate C, leading to the formation of desired tricyclic scaffold. And only byproduct of the whole setup of the reaction is chloromethane, that is the methyl chloride. Again, you see, this is the our molecule, and this is a simple, that is the Langley's reagent, highly inexpensive, easily available trifluoromethyl sodium sulfonate. And this is one of the very good source of the trifluoromethyl. And as we all know that nowadays, this moiety, trifluoromethyl group, if one is going to incorporate anywhere in organic moiety, that is going to change the chemical as well as physical property of that particular species in a serendipitous way. So that is the very useful group. And again, you see the highlights of the reaction: scalable and 100% carbon economy. No carbon is being lost during the course of the reaction. High atom yield up to 91%. Again, high regioselective and distereoselective. You see, ZE ratio more than 99:1. And again, the generality of the reaction by synthesizing more than 30 molecules. Again, we have tried the scope of all kinds of substituents: aliphatic, aromatic, heterocyclic, standard aromatics. Then again, we did some variety of control experiments just to see the mechanism of the reaction. Again, we have did some cross experiments also. These are the supporting evidences to decide the mechanistic course of the reaction, how our reaction proceeds, leading to the desired molecule. And you see, this is the final mechanism. How that is the dithioesters upon irradiation gives the ethyl radical and very much prone to the dimerization undergoes, that is the SS bond, and again reverse hydrogen atom transfer followed by MS Krebs reaction and gives that is the trifluoromethyl substituted dithyl S trifluoromethyl. Otherwise, really it's very, and this molecule is very, very useful synthan for the synthesis of huge number of molecules. Again, you see our thioamide when treated with alpha diketo derivative, formation of highly functionalized thiazolines. You see again one part reaction, almost room temperature, 35 degrees. If we are going to put the reaction during these days in summer, 35 becomes normal room temperature. You see solvent is also DCM. And these are the highlights of the reaction. You see, in one part, and seeing the various functional group in our starting molecules, we have controlled the reactivity of the functionality in such a way that we have designed our targeted molecule only. I mean, all the reactives are highly selective reactions, either in terms of radioselectivity or chemoselectivity or stereoselectivity. Again, this is the generality of the reaction. I am moving a little bit fast. You see, these are the scopes only. All are scopes and substrate scopes of the synthesis. Again, this is the control experiments, and this is the mechanistic dicourse based on the control experiments and our experimental observation. Again, you see, thioamide treated with different keto-digo compounds. Previously, we have seen 1,3-diketones. Here, it could be ester as well as ketone, which leads to the thiazoline and as well as thiazoline, means saturated and as well as unsaturated. And beauty of all the molecules, this exocyclic double bonds are highly selective, formation of only one isomer. So these are the again substrate scope, again the scope with electron withdrawing digo groups, again scope of different ethyl digo scope, alpha digo 1,3-diketo scope, there's various. And this is the simple application towards the benzo digos. How could be synthesized? This is the simple mechanism which finally lets, as I told, most of the cases, the intermediate have been detected by the in situ HRMS study and dynamic NMR study. Then we thought, let us see, similar to our molecule, you might be knowing, there is the Baylis-Hillman adducts. That molecule also, a small molecule containing more than one functional group. That is, you see, alkene. This is the acetate functionality. Here, Z could be electron withdrawing or electron donating, say, for example, cyno, nitro, means any kind of. Again, there are several functional groups. So we tried, let us see how selectivity we can manage from both the substrates. And just we did a numerous set of the reaction, and finally we were able to control the reactivity and selectivity of functional groups in both the molecules, and we have been able to synthesize using highly substituted thiopyrans. You see, highly substituted thiopyrans, highly radioselective. No other byproducts or expected molecules are going to be formed. Only one functionality, one functional group of the one substrate going to react where we desire. That is the highly in a controlled manner. So we have carried out, these are the intermediates who have been, that is the S allylated and S allylated. Again, this have been converted into the C allylated, and finally we have been able to just cyclide this S allylated into, you see, C allylated molecule into the corresponding thiopyridine. Highly functionalized thiopyridines, again very highly useful intermediate for the synthesis of various useful molecules in drug synthesis. And this is the plausible mechanism how thiopyridine is going to be formed. This is the final structure of the molecule. Then again you see this thioamide, we thought eosin Y, highly, that is the hydrogen atom transfer photocatalytic approach, easily available. And you see the condition again, open air room temperature reaction and formation of very useful molecules. This is the gram scale synthesis up to half gram, and this is the mechanism of the reaction. Again, you see, we tried, let us see what happens with our molecule if we are going to do the multi-component reaction in one part only, rather than specific to substrates. So here we utilized our dithiol molecule, which you see amino thiol 1,3-diketone acyclic as well as cyclic with aldehydes, and you see the formation of thiazoloquinolone. This is the thiazolo scaffold, thiazoloquinolone, highly useful. Almost 40 examples yield up to 93%. You see, and that's a very simple reaction. We have almost isolated, not isolated means fully characterized, but we have traced these intermediates during the course of the reaction through HRMS study. Simple NS-ester formation, then Michael type addition, and this Michael type adduct undergoes twofold tautomerization, imine-enamine as well as keto-enol, and undergoes this after twofold tautomerization intramolecular, you see, very regio and chemoselective N cyclization leading to the desired molecule. Then we thought, let us see what happens if we are going to treat our molecule with the phenols, either simple phenol or naphthol. You see what happens. That is the hexacyclic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pentacyclic, very useful molecule, and this molecule can be further functionalized into various scaffolds, and that is the we have been able to synthesize 6-6-5, means 4 6-member ring, including one 5-member, that is the pentacyclic core. Highly useful molecule, and this is the mechanism of the reaction. So, I am going to the towards ending of our discussion. So, you see what are the highlights of our setup of our laboratory at Banaras Hindu University in chemistry department. Our highly focused approach, operationally simple, all reactions are one-part cascade reactions. We have tried in all the reactions part, atom and step economy protocol. Most of the cases very clean reaction, no side product. We have tried means incorporation of all the starting materials into the desired molecule. Highly atom economic reaction. Normally under open air, no inert atmosphere. Most of the time at room temperature. Easy isolation and purification procedures. Good to excellent yields and high selectivity. Always, you see, where selectivity problem is very much difficult in the organic synthesis, and wide substrate scope, and most of the reaction are highly scalable. So this is the just one at our chemistry department at Banaras Hindu University. You see the structure of the department, our present strength of the UG, PG, PhD, and postdoctoral students. Our faculty strength, this is the current faculty strength. We are total 52. And supporting staff is this, and these are the courses our department is offering, that is the MSc in 4 different disciplines, and PhD and MSc in forensic science, parallel also we are. So just for the students' sake, what are the scientific success? How one can success in his or her scientific life? So as we all know, my dear students, if you are associated with this discussion, you see, failure are steps stone to the success. Success is neither immediate nor certain, and it takes several years and sometimes the whole life. And these are the some important trips, important points for the student side. You should have very high ambition. One should have willpower and determination. You see, dedication and total commitment, continuous hard work. You see, I have put the knowingly continuous, patience, sincerity, understanding, self-confidence, self-discipline, mental balance, reading and learning, competing spirit, optimism, self-control. Above all is your vision. What is your vision? And of course, apart from all the things, serendipity of luck also has a role. So with this, thank you all very much for your kind presence and hearing. And finally, I would like to acknowledge for the funding from DST, CRB, CSIR, UGC. This is the UGC UK India collaborative project, and finally JC Bose Fellowship for the funding. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. If any kind of query or clarification, it would be my pleasure if I am able to clear it.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us all about the need for sustainable approach to our lab reactions now and talking in detail about a number of reactions. I hope our research scholars must have got many ideas and inspiration from your talk. So here we have a small token of appreciation and honor for you in the form of a memento. Dr. Leena, to please share the screen.
Excuse me, sir, you are requested to please stop sharing your screen so that I can share the certificate and memento for you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, sir, please stop sharing your screen.
Yeah. Just I am leaving the start. Okay, it's done.
Yes, sir. This is a small token of honor and appreciation from the department and the college for you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to thank Dr. Namita Gandhi, Professor Sushila Singhal, and special thanks to Dr. Umesh Kumar for his invitation and giving this opportunity to share whatever little bit we are able to do at the chemistry department of Banaras University. Thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And here, just to inform the participants that we have a very short break and we'll be joining again in 5 minutes at 12 o'clock for the technical session 1. Please stay connected.
So, Dr. Umesh, are you able to hear me? Dr. Umesh Kumar. Dr. Umesh,
yes,
now
thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for
I would like to leave. I would like to leave now because again I have next meeting from 12:50.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
At 12 noon exact, we'll be starting with the technical session 1. In which we have 2 lectures, one by Professor Praveen Ingole and another by Professor Utpal Bora. Stay connected. The feedback form will be now circulated in the next technical session. Please do fill it. We are soon going to start the technical session 1. All of us, let us put the message across in many groups so that the participants can rejoin. Professor Devnandan and Professor Mahesh, can we start the session now? Because it is a 12:01, so I think we can start now. Good noon, and I welcome you all to this technical session 1 of this 2-day international e-conference. The chairpersons for this session are Professor Devnandan Kumar and Professor Mahesh from Department of Chemistry, Deshbandhu College. Before I hand over the session to both the chairpersons, I will give a brief introduction to both our chairpersons. Professor Devnandan Kumar is a professor in the Department of Chemistry, Deshbandhu College, Delhi University. He completed his MSc and PhD in chemistry from University of Delhi. His research interests include inorganic chemistry, analytical chemistry, bioinorganic chemistry, and structural chemistry. He has published many research papers in peer-reviewed international journals and has research collaborations with many research groups in India, Germany, Brazil, and Egypt. He has acted as a reviewer in national and international journals such as Talanta and Spectrochemica Acta A, Indian Journal of Chemistry Section A, Journal of Thermal Analysis, etc. He has supervised PhD research work and also evaluated many PhD theses from different universities. He has acted as subject expert in Public Service Commission as well as in appointment of chemistry teachers in colleges. He is also contributing for all-round growth and development of the institution by serving as convener and member of several committees in college. At present, he is the teacher in charge in the Department of Chemistry. Welcome, sir. Now, a brief biosketch of Dr. Mahesh Chandra. Dr. Mahesh Chandra is working as professor at Department of Chemistry, Deshbandhu College, University of Delhi since 2007. He did his graduation from University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, and master's and PhD from Jainarayan Vyas University, Jodhpur. His areas of interest include photochemistry, thermodynamics, surface chemistry, and polymer chemistry. Dr. Mahesh Chandra has published 30 research papers, 7 books, many articles, and attends and presents many research papers in international and national conferences and seminars. He is also a member of many chemical society and organization and has guided many MPhil and PhD students. I also welcome you, Professor Mahesh Chandra. Now I hand over the session to both of you. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Namta. Now, on behalf of Department of Chemistry, Deshbandhu College, I welcome Professor Praveen for accepting invitation to deliver an invited talk in this seminar. Professor Praveen is currently Associate Professor at Department of Chemistry, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Earlier, he was Assistant Professor at Central University, Rajasthan. He obtained his PhD degree from University of Pune and NCL, National Chemical Laboratory, Pune, in 2010. He has worked in DAD fellowship in Germany. His research focus is mainly electrochemical investigations, nanoelectrolytes, nanoelectrocatalyst, semiconductor, quantum dots, metal oxide, conducting polymer based materials for superconducting capacitor applications. So he has many publications in national and international journal of repute. He is excellent teacher, excellent researcher. Now I am inviting Professor Praveen to deliver a talk. Now, before starting talk, just I'm making one announcement. If participant, if you want to ask any question, you can put question in chat box, and your question will be taken by Professor Praveen at the end of the lecture. So, Dr. Praveen.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you, sir, for the nice introduction. I'm sharing the slides. Can you see the slides? And
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, it's visible. Yeah, visible.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizers from Deshbandhu College, Delhi University, for this opportunity to present some of our work. The special thanks to Dr. Umesh Kumar, who is also a visitor in our group, is working as a TAIR fellow. So today I will be speaking about the electrochemical conversion of the carbon dioxide into some of the value-added products. Okay, so before I start, let me present the group, because of whose efforts we could have some measurements and have some interesting studies on the electrocatalysis. This is the present group. The work today I'm going to present is actually from one of my PhD student who is now doing her postdoc in UK, University College of London, Nusrat. So before I come to the electrochemical part, let's understand what is the importance of the carbon dioxide reduction. Why do we need to convert the carbon dioxide? Now, if you look at the growing industrializations, you will have a lot of carbon dioxide besides many other pollutants. And the carbon dioxide is one of the most dangerous. And as we know, it's a greenhouse gas, and it's the responsible for the global temperature, right, and the associated phenomena. You can see the CO2 concentration is increasing with the industrialization, and it has reached to very high concentration as of now. Now, what are the ways? How would you tackle the CO2 problem? Either you can capture the CO2 problem, and which is actually doing most of the technologists are doing it, capturing the CO2 and then burying into the soil. But that actually do not solve the purpose. So the idea is, can we develop something, some materials, some technology that not only capture the carbon dioxide, but also can convert it into some of the useful products. Okay. And useful products can be for any applications. It can be for industrial synthesis of chemicals, or it can be any value-added products, right? So what we essentially need, we need someone who can capture the carbon dioxide. That's the first thing, right? And when we say the capturing the carbon dioxide, nothing like the trees. They are the very good friends, right? So they capture the carbon dioxide, and they not only capture it, they also convert it into the food or the sugar, right? By the process of the photosynthesis. Now, if we look at the process of the photosynthesis, what it is all about, capturing the carbon dioxide and converting into the sugars and oxygen in presence of the sunlight and the water. So inspired with this chemistry, we are trying to develop the materials which can be used for this type of reactions. So the questions that we typically ask, can we develop the material that works similar to this fellow? Let me put the pointer over there. So this fellow in the cells, which can absorb the light as well as can do the water oxidation. So water oxidation catalyst. Second, as this water oxidation is taking place, you are generating the protons, which is actually then reacted with the carbon dioxide in the second cycle. So on the other hand, can we develop the materials or the technology that can do these reactions for us, right? So these are two different types of the reactions. Well, the ultimate goal of our research is, which you can call as a dream, is to convert the carbon dioxide, make it into the use as a fuel, or you can use it for the long-term storage, right? And then again, utilize it for some other applications, and again, capturing the same thing and utilizing it, right? So, and that will help us to close the carbon dioxide cycle, and maybe we do not have to worry about the global warming issues associated with the carbon dioxide, right? So this is the dream. So the focus of our research group, how do we do this? As a material electrochemist, what the things we plan is, we have an electrochemical cell. We try to develop the catalyst which can convert this water molecule into the oxygen and at the same time generate the protons. And we are also targeting the reaction on the other side of the electrochemical cell, right? And there can be several products. Well, I'll come to this, why it is important to have the selective conversion of the CO2. So this is one of the type of the catalyst for water oxidation, and we could publish several research articles in this direction. Besides that, we also work on the opposite reaction. Water oxidation to the oxygen evolution is one. Opposite is oxygen reduction to the water, okay, which is a very important reaction in the fuel cells that takes place on the cathode. Besides, we are also working on the energy storage devices like supercapacitors and the batteries. Now, coming to the chemistry of the CO2 reduction, or for that matter, any catalytic reactions, particularly on the heterogeneous catalysis, this principle, which is named after the Sabatier, that tells us the interactions between the catalyst and the reactant or substrate should be just right. Okay, that is, it should not be too strong or should not be too weak, right? That is, we need an optimum interaction between the catalysts. Now, this is very important, and this is the prime goal of any researcher working on the catalysis, heterogeneous catalysis, be it through the photochemical process or the electrochemical one or the simple chemical ones. So what happens when we have the weak interactions? There will be no binding of the reactant to the catalyst. It means it cannot use as a catalyst, and because there won't be any reactions. If it is a strong interaction, what happens? The products that is forming on the catalyst surface, it will be difficult for it to remove from the surface, right? So these type of plots where we have the kinetics or the rate of the reaction as a function of the bond strength, they are called the volcano plots. And the catalyst material sitting on the top, they are supposed to be the base catalyst for the particular reactions. So you can develop several volcano plots for the different reactions. I'm presenting one which is for the carbon dioxide reduction reactions. We can see there are some of the catalysts, for example, the gold, copper, silver. These are the very good catalysts, and the topmost is the gold and the silver that gives actually the carbon monoxide. Okay, but the copper is actually special element in the sense, for the carbon dioxide reduction reactions, it is the only catalyst that has shown the maximum efficiency towards getting not only carbon monoxide, but also the hydrocarbons. And hydrocarbons are useful for the industrial applications. Now, looking at the different challenges, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to utilize different electrolytes, because at present, the electrolyte plays an important role in the CO2 reduction, and you need to have the proper choice of the electrolytes for this matter. Then the electrocatalyst or the photoelectrocatalyst materials, that's another area we are targeting. We are trying to develop the new materials or the combinations of the different materials in a novel fashion and develop the different catalysts, so that we could achieve the high selectivity, which we give in terms of the Faradic efficiency. The Faradic efficiency is how many electrons that you give through the electricity are utilized for getting a particular product. For example, I'm using the CO2 conversion to CO, carbon monoxide. So how many electrons from the electricity are utilized to make the CO? How many are utilized to make the ethylene? How many are utilized to make the methane? So that is the selectivity in terms of the Faradic efficiency. And the productivity. Now, it's not only selectivity. Getting 90% selectivity is not the only thing. You need to have the higher concentration, right? So that you can make this process on the industrial scale. Okay. And let me admit very honestly, as of now, these reactions, what we are working, we could not achieve more than the ppm level conversions. But of course, this is at the infancy stage of the development, and we are trying to come up with the catalyst that can do these reactions in a much efficient fashion. So overall, actually, it is not only these two parameters that we target, but also some of the material, the chemists and the technologists, they are also working on developing different substrate, combining these together in the devices. Also, there is something called the membranes between the two electrochemical half cells. And as well as when you integrate everything together, you need to optimize the operating conditions. So these are the parameters where the researchers are targeting. I'll present mostly on the electrocatalyst matter. Now, what are the challenges? Why it is so challenging, so that we could not go beyond ppm level of the CO2 conversion to ethylenes or the hydrocarbons? If you look at the challenges, the process is uphill. It's required very high activation energy. Also look at the table. What we understand is there are variety of the products that are possible from the carbon dioxide. You can get only CO, you can get the formic acid, formaldehyde, methanol, methane, ethane. There are a lot of products. Besides, when you are doing these reactions, you are doing in the water as the medium. And water can also undergo the, particularly having the protons, can undergo the water reduction into the H2 gas. So the hydrogen evolution reaction is a competitive reaction to the carbon dioxide reduction. So we need to tackle these two, right? And the role of the solvent is important. Because if you use the water, then it generates the hydrogen, which competes with the and you will not get the hydrocarbons. You will end up getting only the CO. Although CO is also very important for the industrial manufacturing processes, but in the Fischer-Tropsch synthesis methodologies. But still, someone would like to have I think it was disconnected in there. Can you see the slides again?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So again, this is another snapshot of the electrochemical carbon dioxide reduction mechanisms that happens at different potentials. And this is the challenge, because at the same time, a very minor change in the stabilization of the different intermediates, and you can see there are a lot of intermediates in this reaction. A slight change in the energetics totally changes the selectivity of the catalyst. This is the challenge to get the selective conversion of the carbon dioxide reductions. So when we develop the catalyst surface, what we target, and particularly we focus on the copper because it is known to give the hydrocarbons. Right? You need how the intermediate enthalpy of the adsorption, efficiency, and should be stable because we apply very large potential and we use the acidic conditions, and it should not be toxic. That is one of the prime criteria. Now, how do we modify the catalyst? We can modify the catalyst by changing the morphology, by changing the crystal facets. Some of the facets, like 111 facet, is more reactive as compared to the 100 for the CO2 reduction reactions on a copper surface. Sometimes also oxides, the copper oxides can help us in getting the better selectivity and better activity. Besides, the electrolytes can also be combined. But today I'll present only on the catalyst part. And well, again, this is a summary. What are different elements people have tried? Okay. And what are the different products people have reported till now? So the red ones, these elements generally give the hydrogen. So they are not actually active for the carbon dioxide reduction. Some one with the yellows, they generally form the formate. But the copper is the special, again repeating this because it makes the hydrocarbons. So going to be more specific towards the electrochemical now part. So what we need is, we need more investment of the energy because you carry out this CO2 reduction at the demand of the higher over potential as compared to the thermodynamic requirement. Selectivity, that is another issue because when you make the synthesis and if you have more products, then again separation of the products is a cumbersome task and you need to invest a lot in that aspect. Current efficiency or the Faradic efficiency, how much electricity you are putting in, otherwise you cannot make it on the industrial scale, and the stability of the catalyst. Okay, it should be stable for the longer hours of the durations. So next, maybe 15 to 20 minutes, I'll try to present two different studies from our group. One is on the electrodeposited copper materials for the electrochemical CO2 reductions. Now we use a very simple setup for making the copper nanostructures. Rather, they are microstructures. What we do is we use the copper anode as a sacrificial anode, and we have the platinum cathode. We apply the potential, positive potential to the copper, so copper ions gets dissolved, and the presence of the organic additives where we can use the trisodium citrate or we can use the ascorbic acid, they trap these ions coming from the copper anode and they reduce it. So these organic additives are special in the sense they can reduce the copper ions as well as they can cap. We need the capping ligands for making the nanomaterials so the size can be remain in the nano dimensions. So this works very well. We have now done several experiments on these, their concentrations, voltage applied for dissolution, temperature optimizations, time optimizations, and so on. So you can see there are a list of 3-4 papers. So that is coming from the different optimizations and different material combinations. So if you can see, these materials are well characterized The XRD shows there is a formation of the copper and also some extent of the copper oxide. XPS also tells us that the copper is present in the +2 oxidation state, and there is also formation of the copper oxide, and metallic copper is also present. Now, coming to the electrochemical measurements, what I'm showing over here is the linear sweep voltammetry. The black one is in presence of the argon, that is, we don't have the CO2, and we put the catalyst on the classic carbon electrode surface or the carbon fiber surface. Now, when we purge the CO2 gas through the same solution, then what we have found is that the current is increasing very rapidly as compared to that we obtained in the argon saturated solutions, which first indication is that there is a possibility of the CO2 reduction. But well, this cannot be final because what we know, some catalyst can be more active for the hydrogen evolution reaction and in evolution as well, right? Because the CO2 purging actually makes the solution more acidic, and hydrogen evolution is curable at more acidic conditions, so it can be because of that as well. So an essential part then is to quantify and qualitatively and quantitatively detect the products. This graph shows here that we could make different products. The red ones at the bottom, they are for the hydrogens. The green one is for the carbon monoxides, and the black one is importantly what we could get is for the ethylene formations. So we could at -1 volt we get the more of the ethylene and less could convert CO2 into the ethylene very successfully and quite selectively. Also, it is not totally selective, but we could get almost 50% of the selectivity towards the ethylene formations. More, if you look at the selectivity toward the C1 and the C2 hydrocarbons, what we have observed, as the higher potential is applied, you get more selectivity for the C2 hydrocarbons, that is the hydrocarbons containing more than 2 carbon atoms, like ethylene, ethane, and so on. Then we have done a lot of optimization on the concentrations of the organic additives, as well as we also studied the effect of the different solvents. Once we have done these reactions in presence of the DMSO, well, we had some moisture actually, the moisture containing DMSO. And other time we have done the same catalyst, used the same catalyst for the CO2 reduction in the aqueous medium, KHCO3 solution. And if I look at the selectivity, what we have observed when we use the ethane as the product, when we are using water, we get the ethylene. The same catalyst material actually could give the ethane at one time, ethylene on the I know some problem with the internet today. I hope it is again visible. Sorry for this trouble. Actually. Can you see the screens?
Yes, sir. We can see.
Sorry for this trouble.
It's all right, sir.
Problem with the internet. Okay. So this is the comparison for the 2 different solvents. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So besides this, we have also optimized the voltage and the electrode deposition times. Now, what happens when we Yes, again, sorry, just give me a second. I think I'll use my mobile internet. I think there is some maintenance work is going on in in the IIT. That is actually that's the reason for the unstable internet today. Okay, let me continue. And if some problem arises, then I will shift to the mobile internet. Okay, so I hope this screen is visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. So I was discussing about the effect of I was discussing, and the reason lies in the morphology of the catalyst that you make. As you can see here, at the early time, you only have some spherical particles which are formed. As the electrode deposition time is increasing, you get the more faceted materials. At 30 minutes, you can see this. The corners are also covered with some small copper oxide nanoparticles and formed. This is being transformed into the dendrites, having a lot of edges and the corners and the kinks, a lot of defects over there. And as we know, the catalyst with the more defects, they are more suitable for the catalysis phenomena. And that is the reason we could get the different activity and the different morphologies or the different electrode deposition times. Okay, so the reaction mechanism goes in this way. Second chemistry that we have followed. Yeah, sorry again. I think this is giving a lot of trouble. I have now changed it to the mobile hotspot. I hope it won't repeat again. Okay, so here, what we have done, we have played with a very simple chemistry. And what we have done is we have modified the copper MOF metal organic framework surfaces by the amide linkage using a very simple chemistry. And what we have observed, a simple modification, functionalization by the organic molecule has led to the enhancement of the CO2 reduction activity. So for that, we have used a simple method for making the hydrothermal method for making the copper MOF. And also to study the morphology of the copper MOF, we have actually made copper BDC, which is a two-dimensional MOF, and the copper BTC, which is the three-dimensional MOF. I'll show the pictures. And then using a simple chemistry of amidation, we could make this MOF to change into the copper amide MOFs. Okay, and which is again characterized with the FTR. You can see there is a stretching frequencies for the copper amides, the CO bond from the amides. So copper BTC, which is actually the three-dimensional structures you can see over here, and the copper BDC, which is the two-dimensional sheets-like structures. When we, these are the TM micrographs. When we also do the amidation, and since we have used very simple chemistry without any harsh treatment, the morphology of the copper MOFs is retained. We can see the for both of them, even for the copper BTC three-dimensional or copper BDC two-dimensional MOFs, their morphology is still intact. Besides that, we have also used these XPS characterization to characterize extensively what are the oxidation state of the coppers when before the amidation and after the amidations, where there is the CN bond, because if it is the amides, there should be some linkages that we could observe in the XPS also, besides the FTIR, right? So it's well characterized. Now, importantly, when we record the LSVs, you can see the black one and the blue one, they are for the copper BTC and copper BDC without the amidation. But when you functionalize these materials with this amine, what we have found is the red one is for the copper BTC amide. Earlier, it was with the black curve in presence of CO2. In absence of CO2, these dotted lines is for the in absence of CO2. We don't have much current, right? So by purging the CO2, we could get the high current, and further by just modifying the surface with the amide, we get the further enhancement in current, almost 2 times enhancement in the current. Okay, but as I mentioned earlier, it can be because of the hydrogen evolution. So it is always important to find out the products. So we use the gas chromatography for the gaseous samples and the NMR spectroscopy for the liquid phase samples. And combine these together. So we have combined actually the C1 and C2 hydrocarbons. What we see, the copper BTC, which was the black, after amidation, its efficiency has also increased. Okay, it was in the 50s. Now we could get more than 67% efficiency, Faradic efficiency. Similarly, for the copper BDC, which was in the blues, that efficiency has also enhanced. Now we could get almost 82% of the Faradic efficiency at the particular potential. So it's not only the morphology, but also the amidation of this MOF that helped us to get the higher Faradic efficiency, right? So it's Faradic efficiency of the hydrocarbons is increasing. And importantly, if you see the magenta color curve for the hydrogen evolution has suppressed. So the amide functionalization has worked in 2 different ways. One, it has improved the selectivity as well as the efficiency, and it has lowered the production of the hydrogen gas, right? And that also we found, well, I not presented the XRDs very extensively, but that we also found also from the XPS. It also depends on the crystalline facets and the oxidation states of the copper, whether we have the copper 2+ in the domination or the copper 1+. Materials having copper 2+ were found to have the higher efficiency for the electrochemical conversion of CO2 into the hydrocarbons. If you are interested, you can see what are the different products we have got. We have got the ethylene again, methane, formic acids. There again, drawback of this study is that I would honestly accept we couldn't get much of the selectivity for a single product. But if you compare these, some of the products are actually very good. And we are still working on further modifications of these MOF surfaces and the other catalysts so that we could get selective and the efficient conversion of the carbon dioxide. Now coming to the stability, whether these functionalized materials are stable, and that you can see here, the copper BTC if it was actually a three-dimensional structure, and if I use copper BTC as such without amidation, that morphology has completely changed. Similar to the copper BDC. Copper BDC was actually the two-dimensional sheets earlier, but without amidation, when it was used, its morphology has changed. But this is not the case with the amidation or the functionalized materials. Functionalized materials retain its three-dimensional structure, and the two-dimensional structures, you can see these plate-like structures after the electrolysis. Okay, same thing is observed from the XPS. We still have these amide linkages as is presented in the XPS pattern. Right? So this is very important from the stability point of view. So at the end, what I have tried to show you two different examples. One, when we have electrodeposit the coppers and studied in two different electrolytes to study the effect of the solvents, right? As well as we have studied the morphology effect. In the second part, what I tried to show you is a simple chemistry. The amidation of the copper MOPs can enhance the stability as well as the efficiency of the CO2 reduction catalysis, right? So with this, I thank, of course, the PhD students present and the past, the former students, the postdocs, again, present visitor, Dr. Umesh Kumar is one of them, and also the collaborators from different institutes, because we need a lot of collaboration to carry out several of these experiments. And of course, the funding agencies, without whose help to carry out any research is nearly impossible. And finally, I thank you all for your kind attention, and I apologize from the technical glitches that I had to go through during this presentation. And I'll be happy to answer any queries if it is there.
Dr. Mako, please take up question.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Praveen, for the exciting talks about electrochemical conversion of carbon dioxide into value-added product. You have explained to us vividly about how, the research methodologies and how changing the morphology of the catalyst and then experimental parameters can, get various value-added products, selectivity, and efficiency. So if there is any questions from the participants, we'll be happy to take it up. I just have one question from my side. That is, what is the relationship between, the electrolytes and the catalyst? So is there any, particular relationship you should consider, while choosing the electrolyte for a particular catalyst?
Yeah. That's very important question, actually. And that totally depends upon the reaction pathway I have shown earlier. If you see this now, I hope these slides are visible, right? So in this reaction mechanism, what we see.
The slides are not visible.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I have. This, it will be visible now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now what I have shown here, it depends upon the reaction pathway, right? Now some of these intermediates, they are actually better stabilized by particular solvents, and some of the intermediates are not. Now it is the role of the solvents, which intermediates are more stabilized by the particular solvents, and that stabilization depends upon several parameters associated with the solvents. It can be polarity of the solvent. It can be the protonation of the solvent, whether it's a protonated solvent or a protic solvent or the protic solvent. It will also depend upon what are the dielectric constant of the solvents. It depends upon a lot of parameters. So it's again the gimmick of both the things, the catalyst surface as well as the catalyst, the solvent, right? Because the stabilization of the intermediate depends upon what facets and what surface of the catalyst is exposed, right? And at that particular facets, how the particular solvent is behaving. It's really complicated. Yeah, but so it depends upon both the catalyst as well as the solvent, and in this fashion.
Thank you, sir. I have one more question. So right now I'm working on like copper oxide for electrochemical reduction of carbon dioxide, and then we got some C2 product. So my question is like the amide functionalization of your work. So about that copper surface, which surface like copper 111 or 100? So does the amide functionalization change anything in that, like, the surface?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. So in this case, we use the copper MOF actually. Okay, and the copper MOF, there we have tuned the ratio of the copper to, actually when we did not tune, actually what we found is that different modification have changed the ratio of the copper 2 and the copper 1. So what we found, the copper 2 plus state is more important. In that case, we cannot comment on the crystal flying facets, okay, because it was in the MOF, so not really the copper oxide or the copper. But for the crystalline facet, we have studied in the first part, I have shown on the copper deposits, electrodeposits, where the changing the surface crystalline facets have changed the product. So it depends upon that. But we have not modified the copper oxide or the copper metal nanoparticles with the amylation. One can think of that, and then maybe that can give the answer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So if there is any questions from the faculties, we'll be happy to take one more question. Okay.
I think there is no, I was looking at the chat as well.
So there is one question from Dr. Palani. So his question is, are both the materials from BTC and BTC functionalization have been done in organic linkers or metal knots? That was his question from Dr. Palani.
Yeah, so yeah, it's also very important. Let me take you to the slide. Well, actually, it was both. It was not controllable. That is another avenue. Actually, one can see the separate effect of the functionalization on the copper metal node and the backbone. Well, we need the help of the organic chemist for that. We could not achieve the separate functionalization. But what we can say, the more functionalization actually was coming from the carbon backbone. It was not more at the metal node. Okay, but there was certain change in the copper metal node. So I cannot deny that there is not at all functionalization of the copper. But yeah, honestly, it was actually mixed, but more functionalization was on the copper back, the carbon back, not on the copper metal node. That's very interesting. Maybe we can think of exploring this in that direction.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I hope we'll end the Q&A session for this lecture. We would like to thank Professor Praveen again for this wonderful and thought-provoking, and then it brought us some consciousness why we should look for sustainable energy, and then converting something that we think is a waste to something value-added product. Thank you for your time, and then we wish you all the best, and then hope we'll keep interacting more because you are just close by. Thank you for accepting the talk. Thank you.
Marco. Professor Praveen Inglo has presented a talk in a very nice way and talked about how to reduce amount of carbon dioxide, and described in detail about new pathway using copper amide new catalyst, and that I hope that catalyst will be very useful in academic as well as industrial purpose. So we have learned a lot from Professor Inglo's talk. Now I request Dr. Lena to share momento and certificate of appreciation for nice talk delivered by Professor Praveen Inglu. Dr. Leena.
Utpal sir, please stop sharing your screen so that I can present. Utpal sir. Utpal.
Oh, thank you very much.
This token of appreciation is from Department of Chemistry, Deshbandhu College side, and especially designed for you, Professor Praveen, from Chemistry faculty, Dr. Vaisali. So
my honor, it's my honor.
So Dr. Umesh will give you a hard copy, actual memento in your office. So thank you for delivering a nice talk. Thank you, Professor Praveen. Now I hand over a stage to Professor Mahesh.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. I welcome to the respected honorable invited speaker, Professor Utpal Bora, and all participate in this conference. We are honored to have such a great personality amongst Professor Utpal Bora. It is really the pleasant opportunity for all of us for here is the word of wisdom.
Excuse me,
Thank
sir.
you.
Mahesh. Utpal sir, please stop sharing your screen. I have to show your CV.
Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and sparing your valuable time for all of us. Now, I would like to introduce the brief introduction of Professor Utpal Bora. Professor Utpal Bora has the graduate and master from the Assam Agriculture University, Jorhat. His doctoral research from the Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology, New Delhi, in protein immobilization for diagnostic and thermoplastic under the joint guidance of Professor Pardeep Meher and Professor Krishnamurthy Kannan. As an independent researcher, Professor Bora is well known for his work in the field of the tissues engineering and biomaterials. Apart from his core area, he has a deep interest in environment, particularly on environment informative biodiversity and ecology of Mugas silkworm. He was one of the lead investigator of ecology, biodiversity, grow for the preparing the Ganga River Basins Management Plan 2015, a multiple institutional mega project funded by the Government of India. His scientific work has been highlighted in numerous print and electronic medias, both in India and abroad. He has guided many PhD students and has more than 80 publications in peer-reviewed journals. He teaches molecular biology, genetics engineering, and genome editing, the both undergraduate and postgraduate. He's the engineer. He's the member of many professional bodies like Society for the Material and Artificial Organs India, Biotech Research Society India, Society for the Tissues Engineering and Regenerative Medicines India, Society of Biological Chemists India, etc. Currently, he had the Center for the Environment at Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, and he's pursuing his interest in policies, research, and science communications. With this, I invite the Professor Utpal Bora for the lectures. And one announcement for all participants: the question to be put in the chat box, and Dr. Maku take up the questions after talk. May I request to Professor Bora or to hand to Professor Bora?
Thank you, Dr. Mahesh. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Thank you. So there's some problem with my bandwidth today. I mean, let me try the Okay, what's this? Yes, so am I audible right now?
Sir, yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
I am not getting the control panel. Let me check where is the control panel. Okay. Anyway, let me continue. So is the screen visible of my presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it's visible.
Thank you, all of you. First of all, let me congratulate all of you for organizing such an interesting conference on recent advancements in chemical sciences. And something which is very interesting is the focus on health, environment, and society. So I will not speak much about sciences today, but I will try to speak a little bit on the other parts, the importance of health, environment, and society, and in the context of circular economy, and how technology and policy are important in driving this new form of economy. Maybe many of you have already heard about circular economy, but for those who are new, I will try to explain what are the basic concepts of circular economy and the importance of technology in driving this economic framework forward, and how policy will help us in attaining the objectives of circular economy. So, okay. So you can see this picture over here, and in the lower part, you can see this is a kindly a model for economic growth. If you consider this economic growth as a you can see this particular engine draining out infinite amounts of natural resources mercilessly and fitting into this production system. Now, this is being aided by the available global cheap labor, and the demand for consumer goods is creating a large market, and many products are being manufactured worldwide, globally. And there are global market supply chains which supply these all throughout the world. And this leads to a lot of ecological imbalances, like pollution, as you can see over there, and then huge environmental destruction due to the clearing of forests or mining. And finally, at the end of all these, the products that are produced are being converted into junk, and these are all piled up in the big cities. So this kind of economic growth model is not sustainable, as we can easily see that. So if you can see the direction from the natural resources, if the natural resources end up one day, we'll not be able to sustain this kind of a economic growth model. So we should now really think deeply how we are going to make the economy of the world sustainable, and also the sustainability of societies. So this model is nature, and what we are. Am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible. Yes, sir.
Some problem. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
What's the problem?
You are audible, sir. You are audible.
You are audible, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. Umesh, sir, you can message him. Yeah.
Wait. কাম কৰক, মোৰ সেই লেপটপটো আছে, লৈ আনকচোন।
Utpal sir is joining again.
Lina ma'am, Dr. Lina, you can put the schedule for the afternoon if possible.
Okay.
So after lunch, we'll have 2 more sessions, invited lectures talk. And then and in the evening, we'll have the poster and oral presentations. So the oral and poster presentations who are participating, so you have to join to the respective groups. The links are shared in the WhatsApp group as well as intimated to every participant through mail.
Our team is trying to contact Professor Utpal Bora. After the talk of Professor Utpal Bora, we'll be sharing the feedback form in the chat box, which is mandatory to be filled.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Yes, sir.
Okay, so sorry.
It's all right, sir. It happens, sir.
So, okay, so now what we are speaking about is this linear economic model, which is basically based on the take, make, and consume throwaway pattern. And this you can see relies on natural resources and then cheap labor. But we are going to discuss today about an alternative model, which is being thought of as a more sustainable. Now, before we go into all these discussions, we have to understand that our addiction to consumption is actually largely responsible for climate change and many other environmental ills. But at the same time, this consumerism is also a driving force for our economic growth. So we cannot altogether get away with this. We have to reconcile between the two. We have to balance between the environmental problems and our habit of consumerism, which is also in a way positively contributing for the growth of our economy. Now, how we will be doing all this, we have to understand, and particularly with the background of numerous challenges like environmental health, climate change, and so on. Now, this is a picture very familiar to all of you. It's almost an annual event now.
due to this activity in the farmlands once the harvesting is over. Now, this creates not only health problems, this also creates a lot of other problems like disruption in the traffic movement and so on. So we are all aware of it. Now, this is happening because of our fixed mindset of a linear economic model, where we look into these stubbles as a waste, okay? And then we try to get rid of them and clean them from the agricultural field as quickly as possible. So this is just an example I thought would be very illustrative to all of you. This is not only true, this is what you can see, because it's a mega phenomenon. And all the governments, state governments, the central government, all are concerned about this because it affects everybody for the in the end of the year or beginning of the year, and brings down the economic activities, huge economic losses. But there are many other such scenarios which are not visible to us in other sectors of the industry, in other sectors of the economy. So, and all these is happening because of our conception that economy is a linear part. So this can be taken care of if we think about a circular economy model, where these stubbles or the industrial waste is not being thought of as a liability to be get rid of, but being accepted as a resource with which some new economic activity and new economic product or new economic services can be carried out. Now, for doing this, we need technology, and many technologies are actually available. Now, people know very easily that these stubbles can be used for various activities like use as packaging materials, or they can be actually plowed down and which can add carbon to the soil. But there could be limitations because the crop field need to be cleared very early because of the high intensive cropping calendar that is being practiced. So that part actually can be tackled with, not with technology. Of course, a large part of technology also can be applicable, but we also need equally sound policy to manage all these kind of challenges. So now, today we need a lot of alternative biofuels, right? And these stubbles could be a feedstock for the bioethanol production. So as we go ahead, we will understand how the waste of one industry can be utilized by another industry as an input. Just to give an idea about the amount of waste over here, you can see this global distribution, and you can see the countries which are producing a lot of waste. Let us not try to blame each other. Now there's countries which do clever things, like they export their waste to poor countries and try to position themselves as clean. So there's a huge geopolitics regarding this management of waste. But what we know, all of you have seen all the big waste dump yards in and around Delhi, and also in other cities, how tall they are. I mean, almost like small hills, and then they are growing each and every year. So the problem created by this waste is huge, and there are several incidents also happening sometimes due to some fire or gas leak. I mean, a leakage problem in these waste dump yards. But with the concept of circular economy, we will be able to stop the waste from being transported to these dump yards. And the biggest problem is that these dump yards get filled up so quickly. We always need to look for alternative dump yards, and there is no any land for that. And there is always a opposition or challenge by the various stakeholders in starting a new dump site. And all those opposition is quite logical, because the surroundings of a dump yard become unsuitable for habitation. So we have so many different kinds of social problems arising due to this waste which has been generated due to the linear economic model. So not only the plastic waste, or metal waste, or other kind of waste, we're also wasting a lot of food that we're producing in this world. I will not go into the numbers here, but just to tell you, the amount of food that we waste is around 33%, which is good enough to feed the people who go hungry every day. So we now require another 2 planets as projected by 2050 to feed the increased number of the world population. We don't need no explanation that we don't have any technology to create another 2 planets, which will be like our Mother Earth, where we can grow food and sustain the increased population. So the approach would be to reduce the food waste that we are generating. So next time when you go to a restaurant and you order a lot of food and throw away the food, just keep in mind the loss that you are doing to nature, as well as the people who are going hungry on that particular day. So there are a lot of initiatives now to reduce this food waste, and all of them require a lot of technological interventions. The food waste happen in various ways. They may happen in the storage conditions, they may happen in the consumer's table. So each of these requires different kinds of technologies. But if a food waste is happening or food loss is happening, in the consumer's table, technology has nothing to do with it. It is all about policy, how to penalize people who waste food. So you can see that technology and policy are both equally important, but the application, the context of their application will change depending on the particular case. So whatever you pick up, whether it is agricultural waste, whether it is food waste, whether it is municipal waste, or you take up the case of fuels, you can see that these fossil fuels is still the dominating fuel in the global energy system. And the current war in Ukraine, you can see the implications in the energy scenario. Even after so many steps being taken, there is really a challenge in really stopping the flow of energy, because that will actually create a lot of economic instability. So now this use of these fossil fuels are also very, very harmful to nature in different ways. All of you know that I'm not going to deliberate on all those. But the United Nations Environment Program has a suggestion that this utilization and production of fossil fuels should be reduced by around 6% per year to limit the catastrophic global warming. Now, apart from these, agriculture itself is also a large source of polluter. And when you look into the various operations, you can see that the livestock contribute around 49% of the emissions, and the energy that is being utilized for carrying out agricultural operations cause around 20%. Rice fields contribute around 60%, and soil fertilization with artificial as well as other manures causes around 13% of this emission. So now, if we plan to reduce emissions, we have to have technologies whereby these numbers are reduced. We need animal husbandry and livestock management technologies, which will reduce this number. We need better rice cultivation technologies or even soil fertilization technologies. And of course, we need green energy, which will reduce these footprint in the farm mechanization sector. So this is just a discussion, and you can think about these from a chemist point of view, from a physicist point of view, from a biologist point of view, or from an engineer's point of view, how to take care of these various emissions happening due to various operations in the farm. But there are several good things happening as well. And you can see here how the United Kingdom farmers have taken up the farm emissions very, very seriously. So today, they have shifted to producing renewable energy, And these helps to power an average of 10 million UK homes, which is quite high, quite remarkable. And this can be one small country in around the world. So there are a lot of opportunities in the farming sector as well, where we can produce in a positive way. And today there is a lot of discussions about net zero agriculture. Okay. Now there are two SEP consultants have come out with an extensive report, and the question here is whether it is really worth going for a circular economic model. The answer is definitely yes, because by redesigning the global value networks towards a circular economy paradigm, companies, social enterprises, governments, and communities can unlock an additional $4.5 trillion in economic input. So you can see that how the economy of this world can be boosted up. Now there can be various strategies for doing this. I will not go into the in-depth discussion of all these, but the question here is, if we want to do this, tap into this $4.5 trillion economy market, what could be the few things that we can start with? Okay, so now some of these is, number one, responsible sourcing and marketplace. Second is the responsible production. We don't really produce unnecessarily each and everything. We produce things only when required. And even the production technology maybe have to be green. Then the most important part is also responsible consumption. I mean, as consumers, if we are just having some kind of tendencies to buy each and everything available in the market because we have the finances and means to do that, that has to be stopped. So responsible production and responsible consumption has to go hand in hand. Interestingly, the Sustainable Development Goals has fixed sustainable consumption and production as their goal number 12, and this is now being initiated and implemented in a large way, and including increasing awareness among the public as well as the industry and government. The fourth step is the resource recovery and reuse. This is very, very important. Many companies and their stakeholders not only want to know whether products are designed for recyclability, but also whether they are actually being recycled across regions and waste streams. So some people may just claim, have false claims that they are recycling a particular product waste, but we need to know this. Now, for these, geospatial technology, data science, and real-time analytics would be very, very important in the future. And there are other challenges like to maintain existing developed living standards and to improve and uplift the quality of life of BPL, below poverty line people, without much increased use of natural resources. And nations and industry has to shoulder the responsibility to decouple economic growth from natural resources. So this is something which is basically one of the tenets of linear economy. We consume a lot of natural resources and produce a lot of built or produce a lot of products. And when these products are being sold in the market, the income goes up. So the economy, the income, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So you see, we think that if there is more in the markets, the GDP goes up, and so on. So finally, the economic growth is directly related to the consumption of the natural resources. So these we have to delink, we have to decouple that. I mean, the economic growth should not rely on the extravagant consumption of natural resources. This is what exactly we started this discussion with. Now we have to be able to do more with less. So this is a model of the linear economy. You have raw materials which you send to production. The products or services are used, and the waste remains. And this goes into dump yards in the city, or it pollutes the environment. But there are other models, existing models, where there is a feedback loop. And this kind of model is called reuse economy models, or this is called as economy with feedback loops, where you have the raw materials which goes into production, people use it. A part of it is recycled and built up into new products, but a large part of it goes back into nature as residual waste. But of course, the problem of dump yards is reduced, or pollution is reduced to some extent. But this is not enough. People what thinking today is about circular economy, where not a single matter comes out of this production system, and there is no any waste generated at all. Theoretically, this sounds good, but this may not be possible 100%. And to make it 100% possible, we would require the intervention and development of new technologies. So chemists has to find out new applications and develop new reactions, or physicists and engineers has to design new machines to build up products from waste. So now I think the concept of this linear economy versus the circular economy, and in the intermediate economy where there is a loop, is very, very clear to you. Now this sustainable consumption and production, which is a goal of energy, it has a lot of benefits. It helps in waste management, sustainable resource management, and so on. And then, am I audible? My computer is telling fail to detect your speaker. Please make sure your speaker is properly connected, but it's connected.
It's audible, sir. It's audible, sir.
I cannot hear anybody now.
Sir, you're audible.
Sir, audible, sir.
Go on. Anyway, so this sustainable consumption and production is a systemic change. It is built around three main. The first one is the decoupling and run the slides. Then applying life cycle thing. Increase the sustainable management of resource phases of the life cycles, including resource extraction, distribution. Let me avoid this. This is all known to you. If we damage the planet, we damage human health. So we need to take care of the mega phenomena like climate change, biodiversity loss, and then undernutrition and water use efficiency, soil degradation. Okay, and which has gone beyond that into plant health. So if you're unable to keep up, so decoupling of the economic growth, decoupling, one is the resource decoupling, another is the impact decoupling. So I won't go into the details of this today because this require a long time to discuss, but these are some of the keywords I would like to leave in front of you. Decoupling refers to reducing the relationship between economic growth and the consumption of land, material, water, and energy resources. While the impact decoupling refers to reducing the relationship between economic growth and environmental impacts, such as climate change, biodiversity loss, and degradation of human health. There is a distinction between another concept, decoupling, where the GDP increases and environmental pressure also decoupling, where the GDP increases and environmental pressure decreases. So these are some of the emerging concepts which are very, very important, not only for sustainable consumption and production, but also for the circular economy. And you can see here how circular economy helps in the reducing the environmental footprint and minimize waste, reduce resource dependency, and finally it contributes to the increased income. And the benefits are immense, as you can see, the outcome of circular economy. So circular economy remains closely linked to the waste or resource management sector. And you can see here some very old photo of two engines trying to drag the train. And of course, this is a very horrible photo, so much of pollution coming out. But this was in the time of industrial revolution, earlier industrial revolution. Today we are in industry 4.0, where we are thinking about sustainability as well as circular economy. But anyway, in spite of so many technologies available, many companies are actually not willing to invest into the improvements in resource efficiency. And even though a lot of awareness programs or a lot of data, scientific data has been accumulated and made available. So we need two kinds of engines. One is the technology front, another is the policy front. So this is definitely a better picture than the earlier one. And you can see here the two natural engine, policy and technology, are the two twin engines which will lead it forward. Another concept that is emerging is the concept of net zero by 2050. And there are various sectoral initiatives in these. For example, in the energy sector, there's a lot of thinking about the net zero. I will not go into details of these. So there is, for example, by 2025, they're thinking about no new sales of fossil fuel boilers. So these are matters of policy. Then by 2030, they're thinking about universal energy essays. And by 2050, more than 85% of buildings are going to be zero carbon ready. More than 90% of heavy industrial production is going to be low emission. Almost 70% of electricity generation globally will be done from solar panels and wind. So these are some of the emerging scenarios. There are also other initiatives and targets fixed by 2050, and there are suggestions how we get to these targets. So some of the targets are some of the way to achieve this is avoid emissions wherever possible, and you can see the various agricultural activities which contributes a lot of emission, and then you can see the consumption of energy, the methane emission from rice and so on. So here we may think about changing the types of commodities produced, whether we continue to rely on rice or we can change that habit, whether we consume more meat or we change to a alternative form of food habit. And accordingly change the type of commodities produced, reduce the consumption of livestock and other carbon intensive products, and eliminating food waste. So these are the things which in emissions where they cannot be avoided. These are some of the things, and recovery of emissions where possible. Sequestration potential on land to build carbon sequestration into standard production practices, and ensuring its continued and permanent management on agricultural land. And all these would require a lot of technological innovations. Just front, so some of the case studies available in that those so eliminated its entire carbon legacy. But anyway, you can see the net negative emissions by 2030, where Microsoft is committed to reaching net zero emissions across and then you can see decarbonizing the production by Apple. So here, Apple is in partnership to develop innovative new technologies such as carbon-free aluminum smelting and recycling robots to better recover some rare earth elements in some components of their phones. So some of these claims are, of course, being criticized because the internet, the IT business was thought to be a green industry, but it has not turned out to be totally false because it consumes a lot of water. a lot of space and other resources. It also consumes a lot of energy for running the networks, as well as transporting the IT employees. So, these may be some of the numbers, but the real work and analysis is in Australia has worked out various principles which will help us in attaining these goals of circular economy. For example, sustaining the management of all resources, sustainable management of all resources. Then valuing resource productivity, design out waste and pollution, maintain the value of products and materials, innovate new solutions for resource efficiency. I'm just hurrying through all these, but like focus on one new thing, which is often being asked, whether the circular economy should be able to create new jobs. So it is very, very important, creating jobs in new manufacturing, service and resource recovery. So as you can see, so many different sectors will be emerging in this new kind of economy, and so many different job opportunities will be made available. So this is one of the sector, and maybe education and research would be important to understand whether circular economy is being able to deliver the desired goals with which it was started. So let me thank you all of you for your patient hearing, and if you have some questions, kindly please ask me, or you can write down in the chat box, because I'm not very sure whether the communication is still with you or not. Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, but I cannot hear.
Oh,
is anybody
okay.
asking something?
Yes, you are audible, sir. You are audible.
He is not able to hear, so so if any one of you have any questions, then we can just write in the chat box. He is able
Hello.
to
Yeah, I cannot hear you.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. Of the sharing.
Can you hear us, sir?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear us, sir? Hello, sir. Yeah, maybe. Yes, yes. Maybe he'll rejoin again. So there's some technological issue. So anyway, if any one of you have any questions, you can just type in the chat box so that he can see it. There are some technical issues with Professor Utpal Bora. So yeah, we'll just wait for a few minutes and then let's see if he can join us again. Sir, can you hear us?
No, he's put in the chat box that we are not audible to him. I think if there are any question, we can put in the chat box and.
Yeah.
Ma'am, he is saying that he is not able to hear anyone.
Yeah. So Professor Mahesh, we can move on.
No. Thank you for thank you for Professor Utpal Bora for nice, informative, and useful talk. Dr. Lina says the appreciations to Professor Utpal Bora, just like the formal. On behalf of conference convener Professor Sushila and Dr. Umesh and all organized committee and Department of Chemistry, Deshbandhu College. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Mahesh Chandra. I have put the feedback form in the chat box. Meanwhile, the participants can fill and submit the form. I now thank Professor Devnandan and Professor Mahesh Chandra for chairing this session. Dr. Leena, to please share the token of appreciation for both the chairpersons from the department. This is for Professor Devnandan Kumar. Thank you so much, sir, for chairing the session. And Professor Mahesh Chandra for chairing the session. Thank you so much. With this, we come to the end of technical session 1. After the break, now there's a break for lunch till 2:15. Dr. Aparna, please put the chat feedback form in the chat box again, because some people are saying that it is not opening. Can you put it again in the chat box, Dr. Aparna?
I'm putting it again.
Okay, okay.
Just give me 2 minutes.
Okay. Participants, please have patience. We are putting the this feedback form in the chat box. We will gather together at 2:10 p.m. for the technical session 2, which is to start at 2:15. So please, all participants, join in 5 minutes prior to the technical session. Which will
The
be
link is
moderated
working,
by-
Namita. It's opening. I have tried.
Okay, it is
The
saying
link is-
there is some issue. They're saying they've put in the chat box that it is opening for your. It is showing you need permission.
No permission required.
No,
I
but
guess.
just see in the chat box. I think
let me-
for organization people it is okay, but for other people who are not from the
Let me check.
institute,
Let me check.
Dr. Bharti or someone else, Dr. Seema, please help Dr. Aparna.
Dr. Lina, you can put the schedule for the second sessions. Yeah.
Participants have to sign in through their Google account for filling the feedback form. The same account, I think, with which they have registered.